Sleep Token is a band that has become one of my favorites in recent years, and that is in no small part due to the fact that Vessel is an amazing singer. One of their strengths as a band is actually their deeply beautiful lyrics. I can't really teach you because I'm an awful lyricist, but what we can do is break down Vessel's singing style. Through analyzing his vocal technique, we can understand his approach and why he does things in order to implement them in our own singing whenever we so see fit. Now I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer before I start this video. What I'm not trying to do with this video is teach you how to sound like Vessel, which is, so to say, how to impersonate him. It's more so how to sing like Vessel and how to learn from his approach to singing so that we can implement those techniques and those approaches in our own singing, which is basically the only way that you can really learn from someone else's singing. Trying to sound like someone is just not a great way to learn. It's more about analyzing how they approach it. Anyways, if you're new to the channel, my name is Jun, and on this channel we do covers and educational videos about singing/screaming. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe. Now let's get into it. So step 1 is to have a British accent. I'm kidding. In all seriousness, the first step would be having a rounded placement. Now, a great example of this would be in the verse of The Love You Want, which I shall play for you right now.
Your heart is locked up and I still get the combination wrong.
Right. So we can see how he approaches that, and when he sings it, it's more like, seems your heart is locked up and I still get the combination wrong. You hear the wrong. It's not a wrong, it's wrong. Very rounded, very resonant sound. So that's what I mean by it's a very rounded placement, because that's generally associated with the lower larynx and having more and how do you get that sound? It's more about adding more resonance into your sound. And a great exercise for that is yawning. So you can practice this by yawning into notes like When you use that placement, it defaults to a very rounded sound, which is exactly how Vessel is singing. Approach number 2 and 3 is his raised tongue and his jaw position. So I'm gonna put a picture of him singing right here. And if you can see, his jaw is always jutted out slightly, and his tongue actually raises to the roof of his mouth to create a smaller air passage, which creates a very unique harmonic, which I will show you in this next example here, which is a song called Mine. Okay, so what can we hear from that? Well, if I were to sing it without a raised tongue and jaw position, it would be, you will be mine. Oh god, that was a little bit pitchy. Oh well. But if I were to sing it with the raised tongue, which is giving my, instead of my mouth being like this, with this being the tongue, it's more like this, and reducing the airway so that it creates that harmonic. So you see, you hear that? Including that with the jaw position, which is slightly out. Here's that kind of sound. If you were to use that, it would sound like, you will be mine. You can play around with that, and if you were to exaggerate it a lot, it would be, you will be mine. But that's way too exaggerated and it doesn't sound very musical. But a small amount, just a little bit of spice, really adds so much texture to this song. And so I feel like this is one of the most integral parts of Vessel's sound. And if you wanted to sing like him, this would be something that you need to take into consideration. And so that brings us on to the last approach of how Vessel approaches singing, which is his willingness to showcase his voice cracking and how that provides a sense of vulnerability in his singing. Now you can listen to almost any Sleep Token song and there will be examples of him using his voice crack to showcase his vulnerability. But I feel like one of the best examples of this is in Atlantic, which is, I'm going to show you right now. You hear that ending of the phrase, the Blue light over murder for me. Me. He completely abandons the note and just into it. That is amazing. That's like one of the best examples that I can get of him doing this. It's very prevalent throughout most of their music, but I guess once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Especially with, I'd say with most of these approaches, once you like consciously are listening for like, you know, the raised tongue, the jaw position, and the voice cracks, you can't really unhear it, and it's such an integral part of his sound where it just increases the enjoyment of it for me. Point of this video is not to only teach you how to sing like Vessel, like I pointed out in the beginning of the video, but it's also about understanding your own artistic vision. Now, there's a great quote by Bruce Lee where he talks about absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. And I feel like this quote perfectly encapsulates how you should approach your singing in regards to analyzing other singers. So take that with what you will, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.